Hello, everybody. I'm Ed Robinson, and welcome to another exciting edition of the League Wraparound. This is the program that gets you caught up on anything and everything happening around the National Football League. Coming up on this edition of the program, we'll preview the Thanksgiving Day games, and also we'll preview the Black Friday game. That's right, the first time ever in NFL history there will be a game being played on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. And of course, we have an interview with Sonia Greenfield. She is the director of writer management and editor for the NFC North, covering her beloved Detroit Lions for a website called Our Turf Football. That's coming up on this edition of the program. But first, let's recap Week 11's most important games in the NFL. The Baltimore Ravens took on the Cincinnati Bengals in Thursday Night Football. Joe Burrow would suffer a season-ending injury, tearing a ligament in his right wrist. The Ravens would go on to beat the Bengals, final score 34-20. A thrilling AFC North rivalry game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. A game-winning field goal by kicker Dustin Hopkins proved to be the difference as Cleveland would beat Pittsburgh, final score 13-10. The Las Vegas Raiders took on the Miami Dolphins, a low-scoring game, but it didn't matter because the Dolphins were able to hold on to beat the Raiders, final score 20-13. We also had in action, we had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners dominated, beating the Buccaneers, final score 27-14. We had the Seattle Seahawks take on the Los Angeles Rams. Close game, Jason Myers missed the game-winning field goal. The Rams hold on to beat the Seahawks, final score 17-16. The New York Jets took on the Buffalo Bills. Domination from the Bills. Zach Wilson was benched in the game. Tim Boyle was his replacement. It didn't matter. Different quarterback, same result. Buffalo would go on to beat the New York Jets, final score 32-6. Sunday Night Football was the Minnesota Vikings going up against the Denver Broncos in a thrilling game. But in the end, Russell Wilson, still has it. Sean Payton, so far so good. And it's not about how you start, but it's how you finish. Wilson connected with Cortland Sutton for a go-ahead touchdown, and it would be good enough as the Broncos would beat the Vikings, final score 21-20. What a thrilling game it was. Monday Night Football, the rematch of last year's Super Bowl between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. Cold, rainy night at Arrowhead Stadium. It was a tale of two halves. The first half belonged to Kansas City, but the second half in the game belonged to the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts and company made key plays when necessary, and Patrick Mahomes threw a wonderful pass to wide receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Scantling couldn't hold on to the ball, which would have set up a potential go-ahead score for Kansas City. That paid off for the Eagles with the drop pass by Scantling. Final score in Monday Night Football, the Eagles would win in the Super Bowl rematch. Final score 21-17. And those are your scores from the most important games from Week 11 in the NFL. Normally, I have my top three storylines, but my storylines are going to be first, NFL on Thanksgiving Day. So when you think of Thanksgiving Day, it's a time for food, family, and yes, football. Yeah, lots and lots of football. So while you're full off of turkey, stuffing, dressing, cranberry sauce, oh yeah, and you got to get full off the football, right? Full off of offense, defense, touchdowns, interceptions, sacks, fumbles, you name it. Guess what? You get full off of NFL on Thanksgiving Day. Since 1920, the NFL has played games on Thanksgiving Day, on this holiday. So as I stated earlier, while people come around at the dinner table, watch their favorite teams, or just want to watch football, just want something to keep them entertained, guess what? The NFL on Thanksgiving Day has been a tradition since 1920. And when I think of the modern era in the NFL and specifically in football, I think of John Madden. When you think of Thanksgiving, you think of John Madden, right? Not just the turkey, but the turducken, right? With the turkey stuffed with the duck and stuffed in the inside with the chicken. Yeah, the turducken. I mean, people know about Coach Madden, rest in peace, who passed away some time ago. Definitely had his twist on Thanksgiving. And when you think of Thanksgiving Day in the NFL, you think of John Madden and specifically the turducken, and also giving out before the turducken, he would give out the turkey leg awards as well. So it was always an opportunity for the players and the NFL to get involved directly with John Madden in terms of the Thanksgiving with the turkey leg awards, and then later, being celebrated with the turducken. So there's been so many great memories on Thanksgiving Day, so many memorable games. And one of the games that comes to my mind is clearly Miami and Dallas, right? It was a snowy day when Dallas was playing at the old Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas. And again, they blocked the field goal. Dallas had blocked the field goal. Leon Lett, God bless him. Leon Lett had an opportunity to recover the ball. He didn't have an opportunity. He missed it. The ball was still live. Miami wound up recovering it, and it set up the stage for Pete Stoyanovich to make a field goal. Miami winds up winning 16-14. Wow, I remember that like it was yesterday. Leon Lett, defensive lineman for the Cowboys, he slipped, he fell, knocked the ball forward. He was trying to gain possession of the ball, and let's just say that ended in a disaster right there. Miami was able to get the ball back. As I stated earlier, Stoyanovich wound up kicking the game-winning field goal for the Dolphins, and the Dolphins wound up winning 16-14. And that day, that was a cold and a nasty day at Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas, with snow, sleet. Man, it was just a nasty game. And another Thanksgiving Day game that comes to my mind clearly is the day that Randy Moss, hey, it was his rookie year with the Vikings. He showed up and showed out, him along with Randall Cunningham, Chris Carter. If you remember that Vikings team and that offense, they put up points they put up points like nobody's business during that year. It was 1998. Moss put up 3 touchdowns in the victory over the Dallas Cowboys, again at Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas. And that's a Thanksgiving memory, one of the Thanksgiving memories that I remember clearly, with Randy Moss scoring the 3 touchdowns. Of course, Leon Lett and the turnover, and with Miami wound up beating Dallas. So many great memories. Barry Sanders with the Detroit Lions, those Chicago Bears games, the Dallas Cowboys games, seeing Green Bay on Thanksgiving. And traditionally when you think of Thanksgiving Day games, it's always, you have your usuals like Dallas, Detroit, and then you sprinkle in Washington from time to time, Green Bay, and also Chicago. But since maybe the early 2010s, not early 2010s, but really since the mid 2000s, we've seen more and more teams get involved in the Thanksgiving Day games, and it's created a lot of parity in terms of just, we get our Dallas and we get our Detroit every year, but it's always refreshing to see other teams periodically get a chance to showcase their talents on Thanksgiving Day. Another Thanksgiving Day game I remember vividly was actually maybe a little over a decade ago. Cowboys and the Saints. That game was played at Jerry World at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. The Saints wind up beating the Cowboys. And just so many memorable games and so many memorable memorable moments, like the butt fumble, right? Mark Sanchez, New York Jets, they went up against the New England Patriots. Tom Brady. Listen, when Brady was the quarterback of New England, you know how that went, right? And certainly they put a field day on the New York Jets. And to make matters worse, Sanchez, the butt fumble, it still lives in infamy of a lot of football fans, jokes and all sorts of stuff, man. It's just some craziness. But again, it's never a dull moment when you have NFL Thanksgiving Day tradition unlike any other. Phenomenal. What can you say, right? As I stated earlier, been some great games like the Steelers and the Ravens. That game was played in Baltimore. Ravens wound up winning in a close one. Pittsburgh has been in some good Thanksgiving Day games as well. The Minnesota Vikings, Seattle and San Francisco. A lot of teams have gotten into the mix. We've seen the Falcons and the Saints have games within the last maybe 4 or 5 years that they've done, as long as the Thanksgiving Day game has been around. And certainly so a lot of teams have participated in a lot of these games. It's created some great memories, for better and for worse. So, but yeah, just a long story short, the NFL on Thanksgiving Day is exciting. So many great memories, a lot of great teams, a lot of great players. And oh yeah, memories being made with your family and friends, sitting around the table, eating turkey or your stuffing or your dressing or your macaroni and cheese or cranberry sauce or maybe your favorite sweets, whatever you like to indulge in on your Thanksgiving day is unique and it's truly one of a kind. All right, we're going to preview more of the Thanksgiving Day games as well as the Black Friday game. That's right, the first time ever in NFL history, we're going to have a Black Friday game between the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. You stay tuned. But coming up after the break, we have an interview with Sonia Greenfield. She is the director of writer management and editor for the NFC North for a website called Our Turf Football. On the program, Sonia will discuss the Lions win over the Chicago Bears. Also, we talk Lions Thanksgiving Day game against the Green Bay Packers. Also, we talk about Thanksgiving in Detroit. Sonia's coming up after the break. I'm Ed Robinson, and you're listening to the League Wraparound.
Celebrating 25 years, Quality Concrete, an Ascension-ready mix company, the foundation of Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. Quality Concrete has the expertise that's earned them the Quality Control Award from the National Ready Mix Concrete Association year after year. Whether it's residential, commercial, industrial, or municipal work, Quality Concrete is the one to trust. And remember, quality contractors use Quality Concrete. Call Quality Concrete at 225-677-7177 or visit goquality.com. That's GEAUX quality.com. For all your concrete needs, choose Quality Concrete, the #1 concrete company in the nation for quality control for the 4th time by the NRMCA. Quality Concrete, an Ascension-ready mix company, has poured over 7 million yards in Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. With 7 locations and the most modern fleet in the state, Quality Concrete is the best choice for residential, commercial, industrial, or municipal projects. Call 225-677-7177 to get a quote now, or visit goquality.com. That's GEAUX quality.com. Goff
climbs it. Goff launches. Got a man. End zone. Touchdown. Jamison Williams is becoming a big play threat. It's Montgomery, and the former Bear has given the Lions the lead. They'll go for 2 to try to make it a field goal lead. It's only their second 2-point conversion attempt of the year. Fake to Montgomery. Goff comes right back the other way. Laporta gives them a 3-point lead with 29 seconds to go. The Lions come back to win it 31-26.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the program. That audio was courtesy of the NFL on Fox Sports, and the National Football League, and that was Adam Amin on the call of the Week 11 come-from-behind victory by the Detroit Lions as they took care of their business, beating the Chicago Bears in a thrilling NFC North rivalry game. Final score was 31-26. So you heard Jared Goff, David Montgomery, and the crew doing their thing. And to talk more about this game with the Lions come from behind victory over the Bears, and also to talk about the Lions' next game on Thanksgiving Day against the Packers, we want to welcome her back to the program. She's always fun. She's always insightful when we have her on. She is the Director of Writer Management for Our Turf Football, covering everything that you need in the NFC North, and, of course, her beloved Detroit Lions. Let's welcome her back to the program, Sonia Greenfield. Hey, Sonia, welcome back to the program, and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. Thank you so much for inviting me back. You know I love coming on here, and whenever I can, I'm right there.
Oh, yeah, you always handle your business, Sonia, and as always, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on the program. So, Sonia, I've got to ask you, I know you're still excited from that victory, but give me choice of words, or what thoughts come to your mind about the Lions come from behind victory over the NFC North rival Chicago Bears?
I'm going to say it was gritty and exciting, and that's what, Campbell is really trying to force into these guys, is just that grit and determination, and, we're going to win. And, you're going to, and if you don't, you're going to go down fighting, but we're going to get that win, and we're going to do whatever needs to be done to get that win. So that's that grit. It was exciting because just, in years past, and everybody will tell you that the Lions would have lost that type of game, and, or it would have been some funky penalty or something like that. But the Lions have really overcome, it seems like they've overcome those ghosts of that past, and have really just put it together behind Dan Campbell. And I don't think I can give him enough credit for just instilling in these guys just like that will to, gut it out and get a gritty victory.
Absolutely, and that's what Detroit is all about, just being gritty and having that determination. And certainly they put that determination to work in that come-from-behind victory over the Chicago Bears. And you mentioned about a reflection of their head coach, Dan Campbell. And I want to get into the Lions offense just for a moment. I want to start off talking about David Montgomery. David had picked up nicely since coming back from his injury. He had 12 carries for 76 yards and a rushing touchdown, and he also had a couple of catches. Give me your thoughts on David's performance in the win over the Bears.
I think this was like a really good revenge game, so to speak, for him. And not that, he left on bad terms or anything like that from the Bears, but I think, you always want to turn it up a notch against your former team. And I think that's really what we saw, him coming back from injury and really, he had been kind of quiet, but a pretty good breakout game for him, coming back from that injury. And just, again, that grit, determination to get that go-ahead touchdown. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's what we love to see. And, he was really good in the game. And I'm glad to see him, quote unquote, almost back. I don't think he's 100% there, but I think he is well on his way to being just about back.
Yeah, he's just about back, and he fits in so well in that high-powered Lions offense. And we're going to get into his partner in crime in the running department in just a moment. But I want to talk about Jameson Williams. Since Jameson's return from his suspension, he has made some big plays. I mean, he's been the guy that's, I guess you could say he's been the deep threat for this Lions offense, especially on the receiving side. Jameson had 2 catches for 44 yards and a touchdown. Give me your thoughts on Jamo and his play.
Jamo is really starting to become a fun player to watch, and he's picking up, I think, I won't say where he left off, but he's really picking up, and I think it's coming together, and it's only up from here. And he's looking really good, I think, and having fun while playing. And he's there for, like you said, that deep threat. You don't see it too often as much with him, but he can be there, and he, it was kind of looking kind of iffy a couple weeks ago when he came back from suspension, and people were like, he might not be the guy, but he said it himself that he was going to put himself to work and make sure that he is doing what he needs to do. And so far he has. And I think you love to see it and embrace it. And I think the fans are embracing it. Campbell's embracing it. He is embracing how good he can really be. So I'm loving it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about Jamo. Since he's returned since he's come back from his suspension, a lot of people, a lot of Lions fans, and a lot of football fans are loving his play. And speaking of loving someone's play, Sam Laporta, if we talk about C.J. Stroud, who could be the unanimous candidate to win this year's Rookie of the Year, but you got to give Sam Laporta his flowers as well. He only had 3 catches for 18 yards, but he was critical when they needed him the most. Give me your thoughts on Sam's play in this game.
Sam did really good, and like you said, he was kind of quiet at first, and I think he and Jared Goff had some mismatches throughout the game, hence a couple of those interceptions. But he was there when he needed it, and he and Goff were on the same page for that 2-point conversion, which, for the record, I do not like 2-point conversions because they always make me nervous, and I rarely see them converted when I'm watching live, I should say. So, but I am excited that happened and that came together. But I think that's where, you see him, and he's getting that confidence from Jared Goff in terms of, you know what, I'm coming back to you, so be ready, that type of thing. And so Sam Laporta has really been that tight end that we've been looking for out of tight end U in Iowa. But I think he's done really great, and I loved his performance in the game. And it just goes to show that these guys don't quit, and they are always ready to go.
Absolutely, and Laporta started off slow, but he finished in a major way and definitely helping his team get the victory. Amon-Ra St. Brown, listen, since I've had you on the program, Sonia, we've talked constantly and raved about Amon-Ra St. Brown, and man, 8 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown. We know his pedigree. We know his play. Give me your thoughts on Amon-Ra in the victory over Chicago.
I think the best way to describe it is just one word that the kids are using now. Him. Amon-Ra is him, and he just really is that good. And I think the one thing about these guys is that, they're all in it for the team. They're not they don't have a lot of ego right now, and they're all just having fun and winning. And I think Amon-Ra is really, really good about that and just going out there and just letting his play do the talking. And that's what you saw a lot of. And, he just comes in and does his work, and I love it. And he really is just a hard worker out there on the field and making plays happen.
Yeah, Amon-Ra is about as tough as they come, and he definitely gets those tough yards, and he definitely pays off going into big plays. We talked about David Montgomery in the running game. We have to talk about Jahmyr Gibbs. We mentioned about Sam Laporta being one of the hot shot rookies in the league, but Jahmyr Gibbs, man, he is a plug-and-play guy doing it on the running side and the receiving side. He had a rushing touchdown in the game against the Bears, and he also had close to 60 receiving yards. Give me your thoughts on Jahmyr and his play in this game.
Again, he is one of those that just kind of is just getting it and putting it all together, and a really big steal in the draft. And so glad that we have him. Like you said, he is truly a dual threat, and you have to respect him when he's on the field, and that's, I think, what we saw a lot of. He was making it do what it do, and just, kind of bringing that balance in a way to the running back game, but just, he was so good out there, and I really like what he has brought to the team, and I feel that he just, he's just like a nice dual threat kind of guy. And again, he's willing to do whatever needs to be done to get that win. And that's what I liked about him. And that's what I liked what I saw.
Yeah, Jahmyr is definitely one of a kind, man. And the future is definitely bright for him in Detroit. And just he fits in so well in that offense. I want to talk just briefly now about the defense for a moment. The leading tackler on the team in the game against the Bears was Alex Anzalone. He was a tackling machine. He finished with 11 tackles. Just give me your thoughts on Alex and his play in the game.
Well, my fantasy team loves that because I think he is one of my fantasy defensive players, because in our turf league, we do get defensive players. So I think he's one of them. But he has come on as a tackling machine and one of the best defenders out there. And, I think, again, we've watched him kind of develop over the past couple of years, and I think this year has really kind of been almost like a coming out for him, and just kind of just showing off what he can do and how hard he's working back there. But he is, like you said, a tackling machine, making some really good plays and some key plays. I think he was there, obviously, when the Lions needed him most, and he was, there for the tackles, where in the past sometimes he hasn't always been there, but here in particular he was making it do what it do and really coming out there with a lot of energy.
Yeah, Alex has definitely had been playing with a lot of energy, and he definitely had that energy in the win over the Bears. Aleem McNeil had a sack in this game for the Lions defense. Just give me your thoughts on Aleem and his play in this game.
I think that sack was very good. And Justin Fields was doing a great job. He looked, honestly, I have to give him his props and his respect, even though, rival quarterback. But he did really good. And to be able to finally get a sack on him, I think was fantastic. And just a true testament to how hard that the defense was working, because Justin was not making it easy for them. And so when he finally was able to get that sack, perfect. So I like what he brought to the game, and being able to get to Justin, I think, was perfect.
Absolutely. Aleem definitely did his part at getting to Justin. And another person that got to Justin Fields in the game was Aiden Hutchinson. What can you say about him? His star is definitely on the rise. He had a sack in this game. Just give me your thoughts on Aiden and his play.
Man, Aiden's motor is just like through the roof. He just goes and he wants it. And he is like one of those guys that truly can become like the heart of a defense, even though he's just an edge rusher and not like a middle linebacker or anything like that. But he truly is, I think, could be potentially one of the hearts of that defense, of that Detroit defense. And he just was so dominant. And that big sack of Justin at the end of the game was just phenomenal, and just like a perfect way to kind of cap off that game and that win with that tough Detroit defense. And you got to love to see it. And I love to watch him play. He is such a good player.
Absolutely, and the future is definitely bright for Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, Aiden is just, like you said, Sonia, he's got a motor, and it shows, and they're thankful to have him on the defensive side. And we got to talk about the quarterback, Jared Goff. Man, it was a rough first half for him, and even the early part of the third quarter was rough for him, but it's not about how you start. It's about how you finish, and Jared finished very strong. Of course, putting together the fourth quarter comeback, letting David Montgomery get the rushing touchdown, then hooking up with Sam Laporta to get the 2-point conversion. Of course, Amon-Ra and Jamison Williams, they did their thing as well. Give me your thoughts on Jared and his fourth quarter comeback in the game against the Bears.
I think Jared has really obviously found a new home here in Detroit and has been just phenomenal. And I think that despite having like you said, a pretty awful start to the game and even the third quarter, but the fact that, Campbell still had trust in him and faith in him to be able to, bring this team back to a victory, I think that speaks volumes about their relationship and just how talented of a guy he is. And I just was thoroughly impressed that he was able to kind of, get back out there and shake it off and, do what needed to be done to get the win. And, and he was quick and he was efficient, and that's what you love to see. And that, that was perfect for him and for the win.
Stay just with Jared for a moment. So we've seen another fourth quarter comeback from him. We saw it the previous week against the Los Angeles Chargers, and then we saw it in Week 11 with the Chicago Bears. For those that still sleep on Jared Goff and still don't know what he brings to the table, what are some of the things that you tell people, Sonia, about Jared Goff and his drive and just what he brings to the table in terms of having that grit and what it means to be a quarterback for the Detroit Lions?
When you're a quarterback for the Detroit Lions, you have a whole city on your shoulders. And I know that's the same everywhere, but for some reason, Detroit is a little bit different. And, now that the team is overall doing very well, I think that, we want to see you succeed. We want him to, be able to take us to that next level. And he has the trust of Detroit, and that's huge because Detroit fans don't really trust anybody. But most of all, he has the trust of Dan Campbell, and I think that is humongous for him because I think in LA he really didn't have that type of relationship with McVay. And even at the start of the season last season, after going that awful start and then being able to, almost seemed like there was something going on with that relationship. But I think whatever they were able to do, they were able to bury the hatchet if there was one, but they were able to, him and Campbell were able to talk it out and I think see the vision of the team. And I think that kind of Campbell just letting him do what he needs to do and run the offense and just be efficient with it, I think that has really shown what he can do and just putting it all together. He has been, since last year, since the second half of last season, he has been remarkable. They haven't lost a division game. They have they have made some very good decisions, and he's just been, I think, the leader of that team and the type of leader that this team needed. And I think it was the right place at the right time. And I'll admit I had doubts about him when he came over from LA, but those doubts have been put to rest, and he has really, truly, I think, embraced this role and become the quarterback of the Detroit Lions, and you love to see it.
People forget it was not so long ago that Jared Goff did play in the Super Bowl. They fell short. His team fell short to the New England Patriots, but during this time with the Rams, he put up monster numbers, and we're seeing the talent. Everyone is seeing the talent, including Lions fans, and what he can bring to the table as the quarterback of the Detroit Lions. And you mentioned about his head coach, Dan Campbell. And I know the first half and really the early part of the third quarter was rough for Coach Campbell, but he was able to get the troops together, get everybody in their right mind, and they were able to come back to beat their division rival Chicago Bears. Give me your thoughts on Coach Campbell's coaching performance in this game.
I think it has really, I think it was just kind of embodied what he has preached this whole season, just being gritty, just, getting in there and do the work. And you know what? You might beat us, but we're going to be right there. You might be looking for us, but we're going to be right there, and we're not going down without a fight. You'll know that you played us, and you'll know that, we brought it. And that's what they did, and they have all just rallied around that mentality of that tough and that grit, and the fans have rallied around it. And, he just has brought this team to life. And I don't think that is anything that should be taken lightly. He has done a fantastic job, and he has the love of the city and the fans and his players. I think that's the biggest thing, is to go from, a very stiff Matt Patricia who doesn't really allow the team to have a personality or to show their personality, to go from that to Dan Campbell, who is embracing this grit and embracing, a new culture. I think that's huge. That is humongous. And, you can't credit him enough. You can't give him enough credit, I think. I think Dan Campbell has done a fantastic job with his team. And, yeah, he gets all the credit in the world.
Dan Campbell has an opportunity to, if everything works out perfectly, he has an opportunity to win this year's Head Coach of the Year award. His first year with the Lions, 3-13-1. Last year, 9-8. So far this year, as this show is currently airing, he's 8-2. So it's a big jump, and it's just gotten better, and he definitely deserves his flowers for consideration for Head Coach of the Year. All right, so now, Sonia, we have the Detroit. Absolutely. So now, Thanksgiving Day, it's all about food, family, and football. And the Lions, of course, the tradition continues. They play on Thanksgiving Day. They'll be in the Motor City going up against another division rival, the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love, great come-from-behind victory for him at Lambeau, beating the Los Angeles Chargers. I want to start off with the Lions' defense. We talked about Anzalone. We talked about Hutchinson. What do you think are going to be the keys to victory for the Lions' defense to stop Jordan Love and the Packers' offense?
Getting through. I think the defensive line is really going to have to really own the line of scrimmage, I think. The Packers line has been good, but they don't have their center. They don't have David Bakhtiari. They are kind of, rotating in and out guys. So I think that the key is going to be to own the line of scrimmage, because the Detroit's defense really has to bring it and just kind of overpower their line and get after Jordan. I think that's going to be the biggest thing, is just getting after Jordan that day.
All right, and let's switch over to the other side of the ball now. So we know how high-powered the Lions' offense is. And Green Bay, they've had their issues on the defensive side, but they've been able to make plays when necessary. We saw it in the Packers' victory over the Chargers. They've got Rashawn Gary, who is becoming one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL. What do you think are going to be the keys to victory for the Lions' offense to get points against the Packers' defense?
Again, that line of scrimmage, and you said it. Rashawn Gary is a beast, and I've watched him since college, and he is very good out there. And I think being able to stop him is going to be huge. Detroit's offensive line has been phenomenal. Penei Sewell has been just remarkable and doing all the things that you love. And so I think that's going to be key, is offensive line play for the Lions, and just making sure that they are able to keep Jared upright and, prevent their line from getting to, or prevent their defense from getting to Jared. And then I think also just being able, because he's able to get the ball out so quick, and I think that is obviously a huge help, and getting open, getting those receivers and stuff open, I think is going to be huge for him.
All right, absolutely. And you heard it from her. We've got, of course, the Thanksgiving Day tradition, NFL football in the city of Detroit, a.k.a. the Motor City, where the Detroit Lions host their division rival, the NFC North rival, Green Bay Packers, in downtown Detroit at Ford Field. You know, Sonia, since I've had you on the program, we've talked about not just Lions football, but specifically Thanksgiving in Detroit. We've seen other cities do it in their own special way, where we've seen Thanksgiving done in New York City and Los Angeles and many cities all around the world. But can you just describe to the listeners what a Thanksgiving Day is like in the city of Detroit?
A Thanksgiving Day in Detroit is amazing. So, like, first of all, if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. So you got to wake up in the morning, and you have to come down. And, like, when you wake up in the morning, you got to wake up at, like, 5 or 6. You got to get up a little bit early so that you can get downtown. You can get to either one of the Coney Islands, American or Lafayette, and get your Coney dog. And then you got to go around and go watch the parade. And that is, that you got to get your spot for the parade for that morning. And then once you do that, then after the parade, then that's when you head over to the game. And then you tailgate, you can tailgate in between. Or if you're one of those families and you do the turkey trot or whatever, there is a turkey trot going on as well. But you can always do those things. And then, of course, you tailgate till game time. And that is always, a beautiful tradition. And it's just a lot of fun. It's what Thanksgiving is to the Motor City. It's Detroit, I would say. I think that's probably the biggest thing. It is Detroit. And, it's just so much fun just to be able to rally around the team. And people are there even when the team was awful, that 0-16 year, the team, people are there for Thanksgiving. And, game year in, year out, people are always going to be there. It's a chance for us to kind of shine, chance for Detroit to shine in the national media and just, highlight everything that's good about Detroit, which there's plenty of good about Detroit.
Absolutely. You're right about that. Of course, Motown and the automotive industry, and of course Eminem and a lot of the rappers, Royce the 5'9", just to name a few, some of the many great cultural icons and institutions that make up Detroit, and the Joe Louis Fist as well. And I want to stay just with Detroit for a moment. And you mentioned about Thanksgiving Day traditions and the tailgating. What are some of the items that are served at a Thanksgiving Day Detroit Lions game?
So of course, some people will make they'll do their barbecuing or something like that. Wings, usually. Pizza is another good thing. I mean, yeah, people don't always make it, but it definitely is a part of it. Coney dogs are there too. But, I mean, you typically have your usual burgers, brats, things like that. Wings are always a big deal. And then also some people do a lot of people, I think, do a Thanksgiving-themed tailgate. So they'll roast a turkey, or not roast a turkey, but they'll grill a turkey, smoke a turkey, bring that, things like that. So it's just so much fun. Those are types of things that you'll see. Beer, Vernors, all those fun stuff. Bloody Marys.
Oh, man, it all sounds like a winner right there. So you heard it first from Sonia, and just what's served on Thanksgiving Day at a Detroit Lions tailgate. Now I got to ask you, what's on the Thanksgiving menu at the Greenfields?
Very good question. So, typical stuff. We usually do, Greg does a turkey, and then we throw in some ham, collard greens, mac and cheese, sweet potatoes, regular potatoes. Let's see, what else do we usually do? Stuffing. Oh my gosh, stuffing is the best. And cranberry sauce. Some years we do the canned cranberry sauce, which is always my A1. But then there are times that Greg decides to go ahead and make it and cook the cranberries and add the orange and the sugar and all that good stuff. So cranberry sauce is definitely a staple. And then usually, I don't know if I'm going to do it this year, but usually we do, I make a sweet potato cheesecake. And I don't eat it, but everybody that has eaten it has said it's great. I just don't eat it because I don't like cheesecake like that. But a sweet potato cheesecake with fresh pecans and stuff like that, that's my contribution to Thanksgiving usually.
All right, you heard it from her first. That's Sonia's contribution to Thanksgiving. The sweet potato cheesecake sounds like a winner with me. And again, you heard it from her. She's Sonia Greenfield. She is the director of writer management for Our Turf Football, covering the NFC North. Sonia, again, as always, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on the program. Just tell everybody what's going on over at Our Turf.
Oh, for sure. So Our Turf Football, you can find us on Twitter at OurTurfSB. And then we have a weekly podcast, and you can find us on YouTube. And we love it when you guys interact because we have a live interactive chat on our YouTube feed. And, we talk about anything and everything NFL related. And but we talk about pretty much everything NFL related. We do polls, we do stuff. We just really like fan interaction and engagement. We also have articles there, too. So, yeah, we do it all. That's awesome. Sound like you guys are doing a lot over there at Our Turf. So tell everybody, Sonia, tell everybody where people can find you on social media and any websites. Let the listeners know that as well. Oh, for sure. So, yeah, like I said, you can find me on Twitter X now, but at Mom, 2, 3, RN. You can find me on Instagram every now and then at Sonia920. And then you can find me on Our Turf, on YouTube, our Turf channel. So you just go to YouTube and find Our Turf Football. And then on Tuesday nights, you can interact with us on the podcast. And we'd love to have you guys there. So, yeah, you can find me there. Awesome. And you heard it from her. She's Sonia Greenfield, the director of writer management for Our Turf Football. It's a cool website that looks at the NFL from a woman's perspective, and she also covers for working for Our Turf Football, covering the NFC North. Sonia, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, and if ever you want to come back on, feel free to let us know. Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on again. I love coming here, and hopefully we'll be able to talk soon going into the playoffs. Thank you so much, and happy Thanksgiving to you, too. Thank you so much, and we'll definitely get you back on, and we'll be back with more right after this.
Goff lines it. Goff launches. Got a man. End zone. Touchdown. Jamison Williams is becoming a big play threat. It's Montgomery, and the former Bear has given the Lions the lead. They'll go for 2 to try to make it a field goal lead. It's only their second 2-point conversion attempt of the year. Fake to Montgomery. Goff comes right back the other way. Laporta gives them a 3-point lead with 29 seconds to go. The Lions come back to win it 31-26.
Celebrating 25 years, Quality Concrete, an Ascension-ready mix company, the foundation of Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. Quality Concrete has the expertise that's earned them the Quality Control Award from the National Ready Mix Concrete Association year after year. Whether it's residential, commercial, industrial, or municipal work, Quality Concrete is the one to trust. And remember, quality contractors use Quality Concrete. Call Quality Concrete at 225-677-7177 or visit GoQuality.com. That's GEAUX
Now you'll save on Cox Internet when you add Cox Mobile. Enjoy fast speeds at home and on the go, so you can do more without spending more. Learn more at cox.com/internet. Not all services and features available everywhere. Other restrictions apply. Now you can save on Cox Internet by adding Cox Mobile, so you can do everything you want, everywhere you want. Stream the big game with fiber-powered speeds at home, or capture it courtside on your phone with unbeatable 5G reliability on the go, so you can do more without spending more. Save on Cox Internet when you add Cox Mobile. Learn more at cox.com/internet. Not all services and features available everywhere. Other restrictions apply. Now you'll save on Cox Internet when you add Cox Mobile. Enjoy fast speeds at home and on the go, so you can do more without spending more. Learn more at cox.com/internet. Not all services and features available everywhere. Other restrictions apply.
Pro football player Travis Kelce is pressed for time during the football season. So he does 2 things at once. Whether it's grilling while mowing.
2 things at once!
Or getting this season's updated COVID-19 shot at the same visit as his flu shot.
Two things at once.
You can be like Travis and ask your pharmacist about getting this season's COVID-19 shot at the same visit as your flu shot, if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the program. Once again, a big special thank you to Sonia Greenfield, Director of Writer Management and Editor for the NFC North for a website called Our Turf Football. Once again, a big special thank you to Sonia for appearing on the program. All right, let's do this. Let's preview the Thanksgiving Day games as well as the Black Friday game in the NFL. We have the Green Bay Packers going up against the Detroit Lions. So first for the Packers, Week 11, come from behind victory over the Los Angeles Chargers. Listen, Jordan Love played an effective game. It's not about how you start, but it's how you finish. Jordan Love came in, made plays when necessary, not just with his arm, but with his legs as well. Also, too, some contributors in this game, including the likes of Romeo Doubs, just to name a few. Now, Aaron Jones will not play in this game, suffered an injury. He will not play in the Thanksgiving Day game against the Detroit Lions. Now, Detroit, on the other hand, had a come-from-behind victory over their NFC North rival, Chicago Bears. And listen, Detroit is for real. Detroit was for real when we saw them beat the Green Bay Packers and eliminate them from playoff contention. The potential was there after that game, and the potential is continuing to come into full force. Jared Goff, you can have him as an MVP candidate. The nice 1-2 punch in the running back combination with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. You've also got some nice receivers with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Reynolds, also Khalif Raymond, and that rookie tight end who's really good with Sam Laporta. So we've got the two coaches going up against one another. For Green Bay, Matt LaFleur, and for Detroit, you have Dan Campbell. And Campbell has really taken a life of his own. He's really become an urban legend in the city of Detroit and really bringing that pride and bringing that grit, not just to that organization, but to that city as well. And when you think about Detroit and Green Bay, so many great games, and this rivalry between these two teams goes back to the 1930s. Matter of fact, 1930, the first time that the two teams played one another was November 2nd, 1930, and Green Bay would go on to beat, well, they weren't the Detroit Lions, but they were known as the Portsmouth Spartans, 47-13, and that was the 1930 NFL championship. And as far as Thanksgiving Day games are concerned, Detroit and Green Bay have played each other in 21 games they played each other 21 times on Thanksgiving Day, with this game in 2023 making it number 22. So currently on Thanksgiving with Thanksgiving Day games between the Lions and the Packers, Detroit currently has a record of 12-8-1, 12 wins, 8 losses, and 1 tie. So Green Bay and Detroit, they've played each other on Thanksgiving Day in the following years: 1951, 1952, 1953, also 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. And then we go 1961, 1962, 1963. And then they didn't play each other again on Thanksgiving Day until 1984. And then 1986. And then we have 2001, 2002, 2003, 2007, 2009, 2011, 2013, and 2023 will be the 22nd meeting. So this should be a great one. We've got the quarterbacks with Jordan Love, Jared Goff. Also, we've got Detroit's high-powered offense going up against Green Bay's defense, which has been solid, particularly in their win over the Los Angeles Chargers. So Thanksgiving Day, always a festive atmosphere in the city of Detroit, and it's going to be a festive atmosphere in downtown Detroit at Ford Field between the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions. Speaking of rivalries, we continue with a longtime rivalry between the Washington Commanders and the Dallas Cowboys. The first time these two teams played one another was October 9th of 1960, when Washington would beat the Cowboys 26-14. As far as Thanksgiving Day is concerned, Dallas and Washington, they've played each other 10 times. With this meeting here in 2023 will be the 11th meeting between these two teams. Dallas currently leads the series on Thanksgiving Day against Washington. They lead it 8-2. Dallas has beaten Washington 8 times, and they've lost twice to Washington. So the years they've played each other on Thanksgiving Day: 1968, 1974, 1978, 1990, 1996, 2002, 2012, 2016, 2018, 2020, and 2023 will be the 11th meeting. So Dallas and Washington, the Cowboys, they let's just say they beat the brakes off of the Carolina Panthers last week. Dak Prescott played a phenomenal game. Micah Parsons and the defense was outstanding, specifically Deron Bland. Deron Bland had a game for the ages, and he definitely played his position in that game. As for the Washington Commanders, listen, the Commanders, they wind up losing a tough one to their NFC East rival, New York Giants, last week. Sam Howell has put up some decent numbers with this Eric Bieniemy offense, but the Commanders are still trying to find their way. They have the talent on the offensive side at the quarterback position with Howell, and you also have Brian Robinson Jr. and Antonio Gibson as the running backs, wide receivers. You also have the likes of Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, De'Ami Brown. At the tight end position, you have Logan Thomas. So this is a team that they're trying to find their way. They're there, but not quite. But they're on the way, though. But they're going to have to be on their way because they're going to have to go travel to Jerry World and play the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. So we talked about intense rivalries with Green Bay and Detroit. Washington and Dallas is no exception to the rule. When you think of these two teams that have played each other, and again, with the players that have represented these proud franchises, man, it's intense. It's been tough. And I think the intensity and the toughness is going to continue on this Thanksgiving Day matchup between the Washington Commanders and the Dallas Cowboys. To cap off the Thanksgiving Day tradition, at night we have the San Francisco 49ers going up against the Seattle Seahawks. The first time these two teams played each other was on September the 26th of 1976, where the 49ers beat the Seahawks 37-21. The last time that the 49ers and the Seahawks played each other on Thanksgiving Day was on 2014, when the Seahawks would go on to Seahawks would actually go on to beat the 49ers in a very convincing game, in a very convincing fashion. Score was 19-3. So a lot has changed since then. Russell Wilson is no longer on that team. The Legion of Boom, Richard Sherman and company no longer on that team. But hey, they still have head coach Pete Carroll for the Seattle Seahawks, and I know they are chomping at the bit. Any good news that comes out of this is that they have a home game. It's going to be a home game for the Seahawks, and they're going to need this because they lost a tough game last week to the Los Angeles Rams. Geno Smith is going to be able to play in this game. Kenneth Walker III will not play. Kenneth Walker will not play in this game due to an oblique injury. So a lot of their offense is really gone because it really not going to be there, because if you know about Seattle, you know about their running game, you know about that the running game sets the tone for that offense and sets it up for their passing game with Geno and DK Metcalf and also with Tyler Lockett. So the Seahawks are going to be missing Kenneth Walker and his offensive production. For the 49ers, everything is coming back to place. Everything is right where it needs to be. Brock Purdy looking like Brock Purdy again. Also, you've got George Kittle doing what he does best. Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk is looking good as well. The only thing about the 49ers is on the defensive side. Talanoa Hufanga, done for the year after tearing his ACL in the victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's a huge loss. And when you think of the 49ers, you think of solid offense, explosive on the offensive side, but the defense is off the chain with Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead. Of course, I mentioned about Hufanga earlier, but now you lose him for the year due to an injury, but you've got Chase Young. So we have Chase Young, Nick Bosa, and Eric Armstead. And also when you add Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, it's it's going to be a long day if you're an opposing offense, but this is going to be a good game. It's going to be a hard-hitting game in the Pacific Northwest in Seattle, where we have The San Francisco 49ers going up against the Seattle Seahawks. We have our first time ever in NFL history. We have our Black Friday game, and it's going to be between the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. So for Miami, tough win last week against the Las Vegas Raiders. Not their best on the offensive side, but hey, it doesn't matter. A win is a win, and you take it. And Jalen Ramsey made a key play on the defensive side, had an interception to cap off the victory for the Dolphins as they beat the Raiders. As for the Jets, just the drama and the troubles and the woes continue. Zach Wilson did not throw for over 100 yards in the loss to the Buffalo Bills last week. So many problems on the offensive side. They wound up bringing in the third-string quarterback, Tim Boyle, to finish the game for them. Not much happening with him. Tim Boyle is going to be the starting quarterback for the Black Friday game against the Miami Dolphins. And there's reports that Aaron Rodgers is looking to practice again in the early part of December. I really don't know if the Jets are going to be in the mix at this point in time. Me personally, I think he just needs to be ready for 2024 because the season is basically going to be done because the AFC is just too much talent. Kansas City, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Also, you've got Jacksonville, and there's a lot of teams that are, the Raiders are also going to be in the hunt as well. Cleveland is in the mix as well. It's going to be a tough uphill battle to climb, and certainly all eyes are going to be focused on the Jets and the Dolphins, specifically the Black Friday game where we have the Meadowlands. The game is going to be at the New Jersey Meadowlands in the shadows of New York City, where we have the Miami Dolphins, New York Jets. We've got Tua Tagovailoa. We got Tyreek Hill. We've also got for the Jets, Garrett Wilson. Hopefully the Jets can put on some type of performance in this game because all eyes are going to be focused on this game between the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. All right, now it's time for my game of the week. My game of the week is going to be the Seattle Seahawks going up against the San Francisco 49ers. So when you think of the 49ers and the Seahawks, recent memory, I think of Russell Wilson. I think of the Legion of Boom, Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, also Cliff Averill, Michael Bennett, Cam Chancellor, just to name a few. You think of Beast Mode, Marshawn Lynch. You think of Doug Baldwin, the 49ers. You think of names that have come along with this squad, like a Michael Crabtree, just to name a few. And the coaches, we've seen Pete Carroll be a part of this rivalry. Jim Harbaugh was a part of this rivalry. And now you've got Kyle Shanahan as the head coach of the 49ers. He's been with the team for maybe 5 or 6 years now. And this is going to be a hard-hitting game. When these two teams have played each other, specifically within the late 2000s, going into the early 2000s, this rivalry has really meant something. And they both play in a tough division in the NFC West. 49ers, Seahawks, Rams, and the Cardinals. And you've got two teams that are, I won't say they're mirror images of one another, but the teams are polar opposites in a lot of ways. You've got the 49ers with an explosive offense with a quarterback that doesn't turn the ball over too much. You've got one of the best running backs in the league with Christian McCaffrey. You've got a wide receiver that can do it all with Deebo Samuel. You've got a tight end in George Kittle. You've got a defense that is just lights out. Seattle, on the other hand, you have a quarterback that has a solid arm. He's good with his legs. A running game. Kenneth Walker, he won't be playing in this game, but however, when Walker gets hot, you know what he can do. You've got two talented receivers with a DK Metcalf and a Tyler Lockett. And a Seahawks defense, not stifling like a 49ers defense, but they're opportunistic and they get the job done, led by veteran Bobby Wagner. So this is going to be a game that, again, is going to be watched by a lot of people. The game is going to be taking place in Seattle in the Pacific Northwest. It's Thanksgiving night. The weather is expected to be chilly. I mean, hey, it's Seattle, right? And you've got the 49ers and the Seahawks. The Seahawks are trying to get back on their winning ways while the 49ers have found their stride again, and they're doing everything they can to maintain that consistency. So hopefully it can lead into the playoffs in January and maybe raising up that trophy in February. But Thanksgiving night, whether you decide to get some more turkey or maybe you want a slice of pie or some dessert, or maybe just a little drink or whatever, make sure you have your nightcap on Thanksgiving night between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks, my game of the week. All right, before we get on out of here, I want to give you my picks on who I think will win the Thanksgiving games and the Black Friday game. First off, we have the Green Bay Packers going up against the Detroit Lions. Going to be a close game, but I like Detroit to win. The Washington Commanders will go up against the Dallas Cowboys. You know, I think the Commanders have something to prove in this one. I like Washington to win this one. The Seattle Seahawks going up against the San Francisco 49ers. I think this is going to be a close game, but I like the 49ers to win. And we have the Black Friday game between the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. I like Miami to win. So my picks to win the Thanksgiving games are Detroit, Washington, and San Francisco. And the Black Friday game, I like the Miami Dolphins to beat the New York Jets. And that's it. And that's going to do it for this special edition of the League Wraparound. Until next time, everybody, I'm Ed Robinson. And remember, we want to wish each and every one of you a very safe and a very happy Thanksgiving. Till next time, everybody, so long.
For all your concrete needs, choose Quality Concrete, the #1 concrete company in the nation for quality control for the 4th time by the NRMCA. Quality Concrete, an Ascension-ready mix company, has poured over 7 million yards in Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. With 7 locations and the most modern fleet in the state, Quality Concrete is the best choice for residential, commercial, industrial, or municipal projects. Call 225-677-7177 to get a quote now, or visit GoQuality.com. That's GEAUX Quality.com.
Now you can save on Cox Internet by adding Cox Mobile, so you can do everything you want, everywhere you want. Stream the big game with fiber-powered speeds at home, or capture it courtside on your phone with unbeatable 5G reliability on the go, so you can do more without spending more. Save on Cox Internet when you add Cox Mobile. Learn more at cox.com/internet. Not all services and features available everywhere. Other restrictions apply. Now you'll save on Cox Internet when you add Cox Mobile. Enjoy fast speeds at home and on the go, so you can do more without spending more. Learn more at cox.com/internet. Not all services and features available everywhere. Other restrictions apply.
New on CuriosityStream. How do you connect a 16th century potato to limitless energy production? Could Napoleon's toothpick have a direct link to a machine that predicts the future? And how can a 1700s conch shell chart a course to humans connecting their brains to the internet? James Burke's visionary series Connections returns for a new generation. Experience all new Connections. With monthly, annual, and bundled plans, find the one that works for you at curiositystream.com.
When it comes to Botox, choose the one you know. Weiler Plastic Surgery. From Baton Rouge to the North Shore, we're a national top 25 allergen provider with 5 locations to serve you. Book your same-day Botox appointment today at WeilerPlasticSurgery.com.
For all your concrete needs, choose Quality Concrete, the #1 concrete company in the nation for quality control for the 4th time by the NRMCA. Quality Concrete, an Ascension-ready mix company, has poured over 7 million yards in Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. With 7 locations and the most modern fleet in the state, Quality Concrete is the best choice for residential, commercial, industrial, or municipal projects. Call 225-677-7177 to get a quote now, or visit GoQuality.com. That's GEAUX Quality.com. Celebrating 25 years, Quality Concrete, an Ascension-ready mix company, the foundation of Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. Quality Concrete has the expertise that's earned them the Quality Control Award from the National Ready Mix Concrete Association year after year. Whether it's residential, commercial, industrial, or municipal work, Quality Concrete is the one to trust. And remember, quality contractors use Quality Concrete. Call Quality Concrete at 225-677-7177 or visit GoQuality.com. That's GEAUX Quality.com.